All right, good day, everyone. Welcome to the March 2021 Infrastructure Group Conversation. It's great to have you join us today. We've got a number of items in the slide deck there, and it looks like, Sid, you've got the first question there.
Yeah, thanks. What's the status of defining an SLO, service level objective, that will require a higher uptime than our service level agreement, which is 99.5?
Yeah, so we do have SLOs that, well, we have the SLIs and the combination of SLO set that gives us, based on Apdex, basically rolls up to that average availability that we use. And then in each one of those services, there are 5 defined services that are weighted into that. We can also look individually at those services for the SLO on those. Are you wondering about kind of more of a specific commit around those, moving to like an SLA, or just more kind of transparency and visibility to the individual SLOs?
Yeah, more as a commit of the team, like an ambition of the team. And so if it's an SLA, it means like guaranteed to our customers. At some point, there's going to be a conversation about giving credits and things like that. That's a very high bar. Not looking for that high of a bar, but yeah, I think if we have 99.6, we made the SLA, but I think we all still feel like, oh, there's room for improvement. So I could see us setting an internal service level objective of 99.39, which wouldn't be outrageous for a SaaS service. And if we don't meet that in a month, it's not that we have to send an apology email to all our customers, but it would be like, hey, we gotta like look at what went wrong and try to do better next month.
Go ahead.
Sid, we do that, and we have SLOs for every service at GitLab, and a lot of them are like 99.95. It depends on the performance of the service. Sadly, there is a bit of a trend at the moment that we are lowering those SLOs, not increasing them. So in the last month, we've lowered web from the Apdex for web from 99.9 to 99.8%. And over the weekend, we also lowered CI runners and the Git service as well to have lower SLOs. And ideally, what we're trying to do most of the time is we're always trying to increase those. And sometimes we have to kind of go the other way as well. But generally with them, we're always improving them.
Cool. That makes sense. 99.8 also makes sense to me. What I'm kind of hinting at is like, if we have slide 3 that we show, hey, this is our service level agreement. We made it, it's green, great. I kind of expect the next slide to be, this is our service level objective, it's 99.8, and we made it or not made it for the month.
So we have that at the moment for each service individually, but we don't have like an aggregated one for everything. And it's kind of tricky sometimes, because do you include something like NFS in that? You know, we are measuring those statistics for something like NFS, but we probably don't need it in the metric. So if we're going to aggregate into a single value, we need to come up with a way of doing that. Or we can just keep it at a per service level. So we know that for the web, it's, you know,
I'm cool with a per service level. I just, maybe my ask is, hey, can we have a slide with the service level objectives, the achieved ones, as part of like the fourth slide of this presentation?
Yeah, and
we can have a. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that it said, I think if I'm hearing correctly, what you want to see is it on slide 3, we list the number there, we say it's green. We don't say why it's green, like what number it crossed, to kind of make it make it green.
Yeah, don't show a metric without an objective. Right. And I know the objective is 99.5, so like we'll always make it unless we have a really bad month. So it's hard to tell like how, like normally we set internal targets which are a bit more ambitious, and we meet like 70% of the time. And I think that those are the SLO targets, and we have them per service, and it's great. except please add them to the presentation. That's my ask.
Okay.
And
We
for
can add
slide
more-
3, please add the line we have to stay above.
Yeah, just more visibility as to what the targets are, and that way evaluating this makes sense. Okay. Thank you for that feedback. We'll add that.
Thanks, Andrew.
Is there any, you can just go ahead and verbalize questions if anyone has one. I think one thing that could be a discussion point here, if we do have a few minutes, is Andrew mentioned the fact that we've relaxed some of our SLOs this month, and so if there is attention on in the deck, things around both the DB queries rapid action, as well as kind of spam on the topic of general abuse activity. There's some linkages between these things that are causing pressure on the system overall. They're resulting in relaxing the SLOs while we build up more capacity. There's probably a good amount of conversation in there if anyone has any questions in that area. Yeah, Sid, you've got a question about one of the items on our slide.
Yeah, so there's no stable counterpart in product for our trust and safety team. Is this being remediated? Are we adding a stable counterpart there?
I'm going to see if I can say that I have a conversation coming up, in fact, just tomorrow about this item. And so there's work underway to raise the question and basically get it addressed. Because I think there are actions being taken in individual stage groups, but the kind of the topic of abuse and trust and safety overall, I mean, it seems like something, well, it doesn't seem like something, it is something that really needs an overall owner in product. At least that's an opinion there, but that's the topic we want to raise and see if we can get a clear stable counterpart there.
Yeah, it's the whole security part of engineering basically needs a stable counterpart, because I don't think they have one.
Yeah, Andrew Thomas, who's infrastructure PM, had offered to kind of, with his spare time, whatever extent that exists, sort of do his best to represent security, but we definitely don't have that full-time DRI.
All right. Any other questions? Mr. Marin, if you wanted to poke at anything in here, or
yeah, we hit 2 Easter eggs in this presentation, and if you find them, we can discuss it. If you don't, we are going to roll with it and make changes to the organization following.
there's a lot of slides there. Maybe we could point them a little bit more.
All right, Marin, so there's 2 eggs in here.
Yes. All right, I'm not going to spend too much time of all of us on it. Slide, where is it now? 10. We are talking about, Amy, actually, do you want to speak about that?
Sure. So we are talking about rollbacks and benefits we get from rollbacks, but also actually want to highlight with our Easter egg that rollbacks are not they're not a silver bullet. They don't fix everything. So there will still be a decent impact from changes that don't work as expected and lead us to need to roll things back. So the key takeaway from this one is to be aware of that. In the future, we'll love to see more of the expand and contract pattern being used and feature flags and things like that to help minimize the risk of changes that will be are likely to lead to rollbacks. But yeah, we probably are not going to expect everybody to be release managers for a month, although that would be amazing. So if anyone wants to do that, then we'd love them. But rollbacks will help us, but not solve everything.
Thanks, Amy. And another Easter egg we have is on the slide 12, where we are saying that we are discussing a proposal to enable true infinite horizontal scaling of Sidekick, which is obviously not possible. It would be awesome if we can infinitely scale. But this is to highlight that even the things that we resolved last year got us to the point where now we need to talk again about scaling out one more time and changing how we generally do the work, because our growth is continuing and the general product scale is also growing. So we need to continue scaling and changing things that we already changed once before.
Great, thanks. And then Sid has number 7.
So we moved inactive repositories to hard disk drives instead of SSD, saving us a ton of money. So that's amazing. I know that our that GitHub goes even further. And if a repo is inactive for a long time, and for example, probably if it's free, it flushes it to object storage. And then if you need it, it has to be reactivated. Are we considering something like that? And what impact would that make? I really don't have a good idea of like the amount of dollars that would save. Maybe this already is the majority and it doesn't matter much.
Yeah, I can speak to that a little bit. So I'd say we haven't realized the savings yet because we just moved these to new servers. So right now we just have extra space in the SSD nodes. So that's the first thing. In terms of moving things to object storage, that would help. And I think that's something the GitLab team is currently evaluating. It would definitely save us money because we wouldn't have to have the compute on those servers and we wouldn't have to have those disks. So I don't have the exact number, but probably tens of thousands of dollars we would save from doing that. So yeah, it's definitely something I think we should also do. I think it just hasn't happened yet. The GitLab team is still looking into it.
Cool, that makes total sense. And yeah, good point that object storage would also allow us to separate compute from storage, which would be a benefit in and of itself. Thanks for that.
Davis, do we have a target date for that compaction process that will allow us to realize the savings?
I don't think we have a target date right now, but yeah, we can get on that.
Or do we have a target date where when stuff will be full again anyway, so we don't need to do the compaction?
I do know that looking at that issue, that is part of the conversation there, and part of this is that we've just created enough space for a number of new repos, but that's there still is an intention to do some compaction. I just think at the point that we're at with growth, it's not going to be as much as we envisioned, 6 months ago, just because the growth keep running. So for now, we're spending more money, not less. But we do need to get, it'll be more higher efficiency out of this rather than just net reduction in spend. And
still cost saving in the sense that we will need to, we are not going to need to create new servers so fast as we will have if we hadn't migrated. So it's still saving, it's just not as obvious as we might thought.
That's a good point. Thank you, Alejandro. And then Andrew, thanks for pointing to the object storage issue. I know that's been under discussion there. Sid, you had a question about the service catalog?
Yeah. It seems that it's no longer used, but I can't really tell. It's archived. That's where I'm deducing it from. Are we still using it? If we're not using it, what are we using instead? And if we're no longer using it, can we maybe update the README? Just explicitly say that.
Sid, that was always kind of a read-only view onto the real service catalog, which is a YAML file, like a really boring solution. It's a YAML file in a directory, in a repository. And that UI was kind of a project to see what a UI would look like on that. But the core of our service catalog is similar to the stages.yaml file that we have for defining our stages, we have a YAML file which defines our services. And that is very important and something that we keep updated. But the user interface was kind of an experiment that I don't think really flourished. So I'll take a note to update the README.
Thanks. And how do we generate that YAML file?
It's maintained manually. So
okay. Okay. So
it's just, you know, same as Status YAML, yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks. You might want to cross-link that service catalog from our tech stack, which is our internal application.
Okay. I will figure out how to do that. Yeah, definitely.
Probably there's probably a handbook page about the services YAML file somewhere, right?
Yeah, it definitely is in the handbook. So I'll find it and cross-link it to. I'll do some updating on that.
Runbooks is already linked, so maybe you want to just deep link as well to the service catalog.
Yeah, there's probably also we could reference, so between the tech stack and the service YAML file and the runbooks, and then also the service maturity model work from the scalability team. There's all, if not direct, at least some indirect relationships between all of those things.
Oh, yeah, I linked tech stack, so that's the page to cross-link the service catalog handbook page from.
All right, and number 9, is it?
Yeah, I try to look at all the savings and I wasn't able to. We have this cool thing. This is not infrastructure related. We have this cool thing where you can kind of group labels, but I don't think you can then look for the thing they have in common. So if I want just a list of all savings, I can't do that. So maybe I'm missing something, or maybe we need some extra functionality in GitLab. Or maybe as a CEO, I should focus on the big picture and only click the 200 to 500,000 savings thing.
I just learned something here, Sid. I'm not sure if that's what you're looking for, but that's a word that just has the initials by the savings amount. But if you want to see like just all the open issues, I think you just search for N4Fin tagged labels and then just look at the savings on each one of them. I'm not sure exactly what you're trying to see there.
Not sure, like you mean you just search for each label individually?
Like just filter to the N4Fin label, and then yeah, I'm not sure like how you're trying to see the view there.
Cool, thanks. I don't see any other questions, so I'll keep going. And I might be conflicted in this because I think I'm thinking about starting a startup around it. But what do people make of ClickHouse? Because I've been investigating it for a couple of months now. It seems that it's a great way to affordably aggregate logging data. And if I look at our most expensive things, Stackdriver was listed as something we spend a ton of money on. We could maybe save money on.
Any opinions out there? I'm not familiar with it myself. Nothing to add, really.
Sid, just to confirm, are we looking at clickhouse.tech in terms of where we can find more information in this? Because I've never actually heard of this before.
Yeah, the Yandex analytics database.
Thank you.
It doesn't look like we have a lot of familiarity with that.
Yeah, the links I have here, pasted here are recent. I have a much bigger document because I've been following it for a while now, but these are some recent links of people who switched their logging stack from Elasticsearch to ClickHouse.
All right, looks like some interesting things for us to read up and see what else we can find out about that. Looks like we're at the end of the agenda, unless anyone else would like to verbalize something. Okay, appreciate your time today. Expect maybe a couple more Easter eggs next month. We'll see what we can do, and